I think so. I wanted to welcome you in the name of Rita, of course, and with Judy to this global webinar on creativity by replacement children, for replacement children, and for their therapists. We received an amazing number of artworks over the year and a half that we've been in existence, and we thought we want to share that with you. So a special welcome to our board members, Patty Horn, Sarah Vollmann, and to our honorary board member, Andrea Sabadini. Thank you so much for joining us. You've traveled with us over this time, and thank you all for joining us and for being willing to share one sample of your creativity that has helped you become conscious and to heal from the consequences of being a replacement child. It's a major healing source. It lets you express the life that is within you. It lets you look at what you have created. It lets you hear, it lets you see what you've created, and you've proof of your being. The purpose of the seminar.
Oh, right. We were going to talk about what the purpose was.
Exactly.
And it's really to honor your own personal creativity. And we want you to be able to share with each other, because we feel like that in itself is a healing, also to share with each other and inspire each other to what, people can express and become their authentic self or be their authentic self. We want to suggest that maybe put this on speaker view so that you can see who's talking at the time. Sometimes it's a little hard to pick through the chart here. And also we're going to be sharing a PowerPoint, like it's another screen that shows some of the visual art and kind of gets us through who's going to be doing what. We want to try to keep it to 1 minute each, but we understand we may go over a little bit, but we do want to try to keep it to the minute. We're gonna try to vary it between the visuals and the readings, because we thought that would be a good idea. And that's about it. I think we could probably start now. You see the screen, so that's great. These are our books that you probably already know about. Mine is Replacement Child, and Rita's is Replacement Children, the Unconscious Script, and Christina's, of course, is Individuation for Adult Replacement Children, the Ways of Caring into Being, right. Coming into being, sorry.
So that was our way of expressing our creativity, but really we wanted to share with you a private act of our creativity breaking through. And I'll try and keep to 1 minute. So this painting is my first and only painting in acrylic. And it happened when I visited a friend in her studio. And it was a spontaneous self-expression. It just flowed out of me. I had no intent to do this. It just came to me. And if you see this in hindsight, I could see there was a little light. There was something like an egg. And it basically announced the conception of my first child and of my coming into being my own self-birth as well. And I realized I wanted to protect my children from the consequences of being a replacement child. My brother died. He was 2, and my mother was pregnant with me. She was 3 months pregnant. And so I entered into therapy to try and find myself and understand what this was about and try and protect as much as I could my children. So this was my contribution, and if Rita is with us, it would be Rita's turn. Oh, great.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone. Steve tried, but he wasn't able to get me on the computer either for some reason.
We still can't see you.
I apologize. Wait a minute. You know what?
Okay.
I'm going to try. Hold on. I'm not sure how to do this on my phone. Hold on 1 second.
would you be able, Rita, to say something on your art piece? Because then I will go to the next slide.
I'm sorry. Oh, yes, I can say.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this is sort of typical of what I do. It just is almost like dreaming because I'm totally not really thinking about what I'm doing. The images and colors sort of bubble up, expand, take shape, and kind of morph without any preconceived expectations. Um, it brings a flow to all kinds of parts of my life. It grounds me, but at the same time, it kind of frees me. I found that when I was listening to a lecture at school, I could really focus on what was being said if I was also drawing, which lots of times got me into trouble because, uh, teachers thought I was not paying attention. But it really helped me be able to focus on what they were saying. I feel like it's free, that it's me. A lot of my designs have birds in them, flowers. I'm not trying to make them. It's almost like I look down and sometimes say, oh, where did that come from? And I feel like it's something that's mine, that's me. I was born 18 months after my 14-year-old brother passed away from a congenital heart condition. And my mother, especially, never got over it. And he was like the quote unquote perfect child who did everything right and did it in a certain way. And I feel in a way this is totally mine, that other people don't do this, that nobody can say, oh, this doesn't look like the face that you're trying to copy, etc. So I feel it's very healing for me. I do it when I have something to think about. I can start drawing and it helps me with my intuition. So this is what I do. This is kind of a typical one with birds and flowers. I love nature. Maybe that's why this comes out. I'm not sure. But as I said, they're very spontaneous. It's nothing that I try to do. It unpickles my brain. So
Thank you.
that's what
Great.
that's how I describe them.
Great.
Thank you. I think next it's Judy.
Ah, okay, sure. That would be me. And I guess I could explain first that when I was a kid, I think music helped me bring out my authentic self. And I won't say too much more. This is just a song that speaks to me that I've played for many years. So I'll just play one verse, so it's short. It's a Dylan tune you've probably heard before. Yes, everything can be replaced, yet every distance is not near. But I remember every face, every man who put me here. I see my light come shining from the west unto the east. Any day now, any day, I shall be released. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
Lovely.
That was fun.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. You see the order of everybody we want to call on now in the chat. And the first person is Hedwig. Hedwig, you join us from Germany.
Hi. Nice being here with you today. Thank you, Christina. So this painting is called Happiness, and I painted it 7 years ago. Sometime before I learned about the concept of the replacement child. And I learned about the concept from Johanna. So I'm very happy that I meet you today, Johanna. And from Christina, maybe last year. So when I painted this, for me, the woman and the man represented the archetypal feminine and the archetypal masculine. But when we discussed this picture during a meeting of the Replacement Child Forum, somebody said it could be brother and sister. And this really struck me because my sister Ursula died 5 years before I was born, and my brother Georg 2 years before I was born. So this discussion gave a completely new feeling for me for this picture. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Hedwig. Thank you. We will see all the pictures again at the end, and I stop the sharing now to ask Patty, who wanted to read for us a piece.
I hope this
that was
doesn't
written.
exceed the minute, but if it does, it won't be long. This is an excerpt from a memoir that I wrote called Good Girls Don't. Mother, I sit on the edge of the tub watching you put on your makeup, a ritual I never tired of being witness to. Your lipstick is always bright red. The tube touches your lips boldly, outlining first your upper lip and carefully tracing the full line of your lower lip. Your dark eyes gaze into the small bathroom mirror with the fixed stare of a surgeon. My mouth moves automatically with yours, and in that moment, my transference to you is complete. You smile and your perfect white teeth glisten. It is usually at this point that my comparison to you begins. I am thin and angular with straight red hair. You are small, curvy, with curly dark hair. You are the ideal. I am the counterfeit. I linger in the bathroom after the makeup session is over and take your place at the mirror. I secretly try to imitate your seductive smile and your hooded dark eyes, but all I see is a pale, thin little girl and wonder, where have I really come from?
Thank you, Patty. And you are a replacement child.
I am that.
Yes, thank you. Erika cannot be with us. Joanna, I think, is next.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. I have a text to read you about my flower display. If I can just get it up. So in creating a floral display, I find the choice of foliage and of the flowers and the fitting size and shape of the display, a kind of a layering process. And I find wonder in the beauty and the diversity of the life forms. And I find this enriches my life. It's using my brain, my right brain, my creative brain in the creative process with the creator, God, the creator. It involves the appreciation of the natural forms and the colors, and the knowledge of suitability of the plants is also part of it. So I'm integrating a bit left and right brain. My creative style is called upon in order for me to juxtapose the flowers and to complement them with each other and the leaves in order to please the eye from various different angles. So the whole thing of flower arranging is just wonderful to me. And I think the most rewarding creative process that I engage in. Thank you.
Thank
Beautiful.
you. Thank you, Joanna.
I think Lizette is next. She's going to read something for us.
Yes, hello, hi.
Hi.
I've just got it here on the screen actually, so I'm just got to get it so I can see. Okay, this is a piece taken from out my memoir, and I'm hoping it will stay within a minute or at least 2 minutes. It's about my therapist, who has become did become like a mother figure to me. I think she became my replacement mother. And so it kind of talks about the relationship that I built up with her. I won't say any more. I'll just go straight in. A couple of weeks before leaving for Provincetown, and on the same day my dad flew with his girlfriend to stay with her family in New Zealand, I went to see my therapist, Mandy. I explained that I was feeling nervous travelling from Boston to Provincetown. Despite my travels to Italy, I still got anxious at the thought of travelling alone. Mandy said, "When things don't work out the way we planned, it means we're meant to have a different experience. If you can manage your anxiety, be aware and ride the wave, the journey becomes exciting." I love this perspective. I'm aware my anxiety creates this confusion, but when you put it like that, it feels more empowering. I tried to sum up how inspired I felt from her analysis, but my emotions tend to yin and yang depending on my expectations. She continued, "Stay with your awareness. If you become aware that that is what's happening for you, it gives you a choice. You don't have a choice over things you're not aware." I was in awe of Mandy's wisdom and wish I could take her with me to Cape Cod.
Oh, thank you.
I can go on, but I don't know if it will run over time. But thank you.
Thank you very much. Caroline.
The picture.
There we go.
Holy Mother Wisdom. I created this sculpture in India. An archetypal mother with water pouring out of her head holds smaller figures in her arms. They are the lovers, the woman and lion, the girl dancing on the tail, and the angry woman. It's a healing image, both personally and collectively. My mother saw her dead son, not me, her living daughter. Collectively, when I perform in public, I find myself acting like a man in order to be taken seriously. This image affirms me as a woman and enables me to trust my inner self.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Caroline.
And I think Barbara is going to read for us.
Yes.
now.
I'm reading an excerpt from my book published in 2017, When Will I Be Good Enough? A Replacement Child's Journey to Healing. I am the replacement child, the child born after the tragic death of my brother whom I never knew, the almost 2-year-old cherub whose giggling, dimpled, chubby face peers at me from multiple locations in antique frames strategically arranged throughout my childhood home. Jeffrey, the forever perfect golden-haired little boy who never had the opportunity to grow up and grow old. Jeffrey, whose place I suddenly took as second child number 2. He was the family member about whom I wasn't supposed to talk or ask questions. Yet through my mother's whispers and unspoken words, I implicitly knew I had to quite impossibly measure up to an unlived life. If Jeffrey had lived, you wouldn't have been born, my mother would often say throughout the years. Thus, even from an early age, I sensed that I must have done something horrific to cause my poor brother's demise. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. I now come to Eric and will share the lyrics of a song you wrote. I'm sorry. Oops. Where has this I'm sorry for a moment.
There it is.
Made a bit of a mess. This is the song Eric and your friend you wrote and composed together. And if I manage, I will wish to let you hear for a moment how it sounds, and then let Eric talk again over the lyrics. Bit of a change.
I've come to bury the ghost, most wonderful surprise. I've come to claim what's mine, soul of a replacement child. I've come to try and find in the heavy sigh a way to rest.
So you can listen to this because I come back with its text and the lyrics. And Eric, over to you.
Okay, well, thank you very much indeed for having me. Thank you very much, Christina, for all the exchanges that we've been having. And I think when I read your book, and it triggered something in me, and as usual, I just turned into a little song, and it meant a lot to me. And I've been through a moment of realization of what it meant, maybe to be born after a child's death. Even though I found it very hard to fathom and to know exactly how to sort this out. So I'm still a little perplexed, but well, there's not much I can say. Well, except thank you very much indeed. Well, there's just one thing I'd like to say. Why is it there are so few men?
It's true. Thank you. We'll discuss at the end, maybe.
We don't know. I'm not
We'll
sure.
discuss- we'll
I think
dis-
women may be more forthcoming with their emotions. That it's easier for women to express their emotions. That may be one of the reasons.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you, Eric, for sharing. And you can listen to the song with the reference that you have. I think
Johanna is next, I believe.
Hello, I'm Johanna. I'm from Germany.
You
Before I discovered this theme of replacement children, my life was marked by fear, loneliness, and confusion. The time of unconsciousness of this theme has left deep marks and scars. But one day I discovered that there was something within me that must be very strong, that has a strong will to survive. And I wrote a book with the German title Federn haben meine starke Seite. In English, feathers have a strong center or middle, I don't know exactly. And writing this book helped me to meet this girl, this confused woman.
can you show the book?
Yeah. Okay, that's my book. I don't know, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I think the next person, Judy, help me, is Hedy.
Hedy?
Mhm.
Okay, so my mother always wanted 4 children. After miscarriage, I was conceived. This has followed me like a slightly irritating feeling, like a tiny pebble in my shoe. Sometimes I felt strange in the siblings group, being at the same time the 4th child, and as such belonging, being the 5th child, and as such being excluded. I needed to give this unborn baby a face and formed this little puppet, my counterpart. One day, when time has come, I might say goodbye. Just now it feels good the way it is, and when I feel different from my siblings, it's fine. I am I. It's wonderful to share with you, but just as wonderful to have you as my witnesses.
Thank you.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you very much. Sarah, what have you decided? Will you read or will you show?
I think I'm going to read.
Oh, good.
So I have a piece to read, and I just want to say this piece was something I wrote when I kind of started to realize for the first time that I could forge my own story and my own relationship to my sister, and that my mom didn't have to have full ownership of that. So this is what I wrote. Only silence has stretched between us, warm and flat as the grass on your tomb. You were 6 when you died and a little girl, so I was never mad at you, even though Mom always said that you were perfect and you were everyone's favorite. It occurs to me now that you never asked for that legacy and that actually you have nothing to do with it. It makes me happy to imagine you scoffing at Mom, rebelling against your angelic reputation. Maybe we could have gotten into a lot of trouble together. I'd love to see how you would have proved Mom wrong. Domestic, married, home with kids, surely you would have done the opposite. Maybe you would have been the cool big sister with gorgeous floral tattoos, bohemian perhaps. You would have lived in New York City before I got there and introduced me to all of your theater friends. I would have slept on your patchy velvet couch and heard all about your latest lovers and auditions. We would have stayed up late lighting candles and draping scarves over the lampshades for ambiance while we ordered Afghan food from your huge folder of takeout menus. Maybe you would have been a vegetarian and dating the handsome dog walker who cared for your rescued greyhound named Stella. I don't want to idealize you either, so I need to think of your flaws. You and I would have hurt each other sometimes, even the best of sisters do. I hope you would have been flawed in tons of ways, but that I could have counted on you and known that you had my back just as I would have had yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Oh, that was great. That was great.
Yeah. I think
And,
the last person, yes, to join us and share an act of creativity is Evgeny.
Hello, so nice to see you all. And Christina, I've got an image. Actually, it's Picasso.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will.
So I'm from Russia and I'm psychotherapist. Actually, it's not mine, of course, yeah. It's Picasso's, but for me, it serves as a symbol for my repetitive dream. You see, I'm not a repetitive replacement child myself. My mother is a replacement child. So for me, it's more about transgenerational transmission, as I feel it. So I bring a dream directly from my unconscious, and here it is. Women dancing in a circle around me. They inject me with blood right into my heart. They cook meat for me. They sing ritual-like songs. And I'm lying in the center of their circle in a bed. I'm just woken up or I'm ill. And my mother is never among them. And it brings me a kind of nourishment, like I'm both mother and circle of protection. So feminine love, dove is a peace, and peace is a final unity. I try to see it this way because my mother had 13 sisters and she's the youngest, and her sisters didn't live to the age of 5. They died due to famine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What an extraordinary richness of sharing, of different expressions of your life force. You are all invited to share now. We have a good 20 minutes
Can
to
I just,
discuss. Yes, please.
Can I
Oh,
just
look,
say
there's
hello to
Rita.
everybody? Hi.
Yes,
I'm
Rita.
so sorry we had a computer glitch and even my computer savvy husband
Oh,
couldn't
well.
get me on, but I was listening and I saw and I finally figured out how to do it with my iPad. So I just want to welcome everybody and say I'm so happy to be among you all. And I'm
Yes.
sorry that like I had to come on a few minutes late.
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that's okay. The three of us are really working well together, and each one did our own journey, and we are so pleased to come together with you. So I will put up all the images that we shared, and I probably would like to invite those who were reading to share their writing, that we can make a whole product and actually join them in a presentation. So I put up all the images again, so that we can discuss and have a recall of the richness of what we just shared. Oops, I'm sorry, glitches. How is this feeling for you? How are you in this community? Who would like to speak? Please put the hand up, not in person, but put it up in the function at the bottom bar. Only then can we see you. Yeah, Barbara raised her hand. Barbara.
Okay. I feel for me, it's such a richness of creativity and inspiration, feeling like enveloped with love, that we have a common understanding. And it's like taking a deep breath after holding your breath for so long. And I so appreciate this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Rita?
Yeah, I just want to say every time we come together with a group that is like this that are replacement children, I feel like I'm finally with people who understand at such a deep level that it's not something you can really talk about with other people that really get it at a soul level. And I always just feel like there's such a richness when we all come together. And I appreciate that everyone is so willing to share.
That is so true. Lisette?
Hi, I just love being part of what I feel is like an extended family. It just feels like we're all on the same wavelength, we're all treated equally. And I think, I don't know, it's a very unique experience. And yet all our experiences are completely different, but we have a level of understanding and empathy that you don't receive or appreciate anywhere else. So yeah, no, I look at it as my new family.
Thanks a lot. I see Andrea. Andrea is...
Yes, hello everybody.
And Andrea has written extensively articles, and it's in a book on the replacement child. So I'm sure you have an observation for us, seeing the whole.
I hope I do, even if I'm not a replacement child myself. The first thing I want to say is about the creativity of this event. I don't know if it is just Christina who thought about it, or you with your colleagues, but I think it's a very creative way of approaching the issue that we're all concerned about, to allow, in fact, encourage everybody to be creative in their own ways. I was particularly impressed, without getting into the content of it. We are not here, you know, as literary critics or art critics or whatever. That's not the point at all. But to say how wonderful it is that people have decided to express their creativity in so many different forms. We had paintings, we had drawings, we had a song, we had the lyrics of a song, we had a flower display, a sculpture, pottery, puppet, a drawing by Picasso. I mean, a whole variety of ways of expressing one's own creativity. And one important, I would be very brief, don't worry, I'm not giving a long speech at all, but just to say how important is the issue of discovery, of how one has discovered one's own identity through the creative act, or maybe through someone else's creative act, reading a book or looking at a painting and so on, and how that has inspired one to get in touch with one's own identity, which might have suffered from a sense of confusion because of the very nature of the condition of being a replacement child, and the kind of projections that we had to, that replacement children had to, I would say, suffer, or at least, if not suffer, experience, because of their particular place within the family constellation. Just a last thought, very, very briefly, about how a number of you have commented on how your creative act has been the result of has been very spontaneous. I think your own, Christina, at the very beginning, you didn't quite know that you were doing, it just came out of you, as if it was already there, ready to be delivered out on the paper, out on the clay or whatever or in the music, whatever that was ready to come out. And something happened in you, something, I'm reluctant to call it magic, but something magic that allowed whatever was inside to come out in a way that could be shared by others, because that's what creative products are about. They're not, therefore, ourselves who create them, but are also there in order to be shared and enjoyed, or criticized, or attacked, or whatever, but to create a relationship with others. They become some kind of a bridge, some kind of a bond between ourselves and others. And I think what we've seen today so far had very much also that very powerful function. I'll stop here.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea. Judy.
Yeah. Well, you know, I just wanted to say a little more about music in my life, just to share, you know, that part of it. And of course, as a child, when I picked up a guitar, I didn't know anything about why anything was happening. But it turned out that it really was a way for me to differentiate myself and my family from both, you know, my sister, who needed a lot of care after the accident that took my other sister. But also it was another way to connect with my father, who was very much still in grief over his daughter dying. And music was something that he turned to. He was just a wonderful singer. So that when I started to want to sing a little bit, he gave me tutoring and lessons, and it was a way to be close to him. So music kind of in the beginning of my life and into young adulthood kind of saved me as much as writing did later on. So just to share that a little bit. And I love seeing all of this art. It's just amazing how many different forms it takes. And it's beautiful. Thank you all, really.
There are three more who raised their hands. Sarah?
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to briefly say that for me, this was very moving to be with all of you and I've never before sat with a group of other people who are all or mostly all subsequent children. So to all be together for me was very moving. And also, you know, I know we don't have time, but I just want you to know that each one of your art pieces was very touching to me, and that there's so much I could say about each one. So thank you.
Yes, Heide?
Yeah, so hi. I would like to say it's really, really lovely to see the various artworks and the level of creativities. And also I would like to share that I do not often speak to other people about the content of my work and why I choose which symbols and so forth. I just show them, or I sometimes give a hint. I don't even tell people about the title. So, so this has been a very new experience for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. I would also like to say something. I was so struck by several of your contributions, showing the difficulties with mother. And Judy, you mentioned father, how father helped you. And I think it's so important, maybe Andrea will agree with me and some of my other colleagues, that relationship that we have in the beginning of our life will make an impact on us. And if that's overshadowed, we will have a difficulty getting into relationship with others and with ourselves and with the self, which is this force pushing us. But what I take away is this extraordinary beauty, even in more difficult images or voices, the beauty that the self is there and will push towards self-expression. That is so impressive to me, seeing you all together and your pieces. Eric has raised his hand.
Well, thank you very much, Justina. But I think this is a question that I asked you previously through our various emails, and I'm particularly addressing the therapist there, because it seems to me that most of the things that have been said could apply to mostly anybody, and not only replacement children. And what would you say maybe the common thread in all the maybe the works that are here before us, or maybe the patients that you've worked with? Is there something that you could, I don't know, say, well, this is a case in point, this is something coming from a replacement child
perspective.
Perspective, yeah.
I would say it is definitely, the first theme is loss. Yes, there was a child and it's no longer there, and the child after is suffering something that comes in the wake of that loss. So you can see loss when Hedi speaks about that person that was there. Is she fourth, is she fifth? And she gives expression. You can see it in the dream of Evgeny. You can see it in Hedwig's. You can see it in your own lyrics, of course, Eric. And you can see that there is a desire to come back and find mother, archetypal mother, Caroline, wisdom mother, mother, maybe the containing function of mother in the vessel, Heidi, that you have presented, that extraordinary expression of life in the flower arrangement. And you spoke about the juxtapositions, about the opposites. I think it's the opposites of life and death we have to grapple with when we are born in that situation, or even if it happens to us when we were already born and somebody was lost. And then I see in Rita's flower painting, that bird that's like rising like a phoenix from the ashes, or a bird that's carried by a mother bird, right? So there is the healing in every one of your contributions, also in Sarah's imagination of a missing sibling. What would it have been if the cruel sister had been there? So I think that this condition affects many more people, and many may not know about it, but I think it's that composing of the life force with what was threatening to the life force, and that pushing forward in a creative elan. Right. But if anybody else can have an observation on that, please. Yes, who is next? Let me see. I see Heidi, Eric, Judy, Andrea. I don't know in which order you came on, because I think I will take away the images, or shall I leave the images? I take them away. I take them away. Then we see each other. I see all of you. That's it.
There we are. There we
Good.
are.
Okay, I
I
don't.
mean, I could just quickly say, you know, from what you said, Christine, I'm not a therapist, but from what I observe and how I feel about creative endeavors, is it's also a way to be seen, and
Mhm.
you know, not just to be you know, in the background, but I think that is something that replacement children, I think, struggle with, is that to be seen as you. And so that's what I think. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that.
You know, somebody else said something that really hit, and it was like the mother, I mean, in my case, it was definitely seeing the dead child and not the living girl that was in front of her. And I feel like, you know, when I do whatever else I do that he didn't do, it separates me from that. It gives life where there wasn't life.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know who was first. Andrea, Heidi, please.
Ladies first.
I don't actually want to say something. I don't know how to remove the hand.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I do it. Thank you, Andrea.
All right. Yes. No, I want to say very much agree with the view that, well, first of all, with Eric's question of whether that there is something specific about replacement children and their creativity and creative acts that is specific to them and that couldn't be applied to everybody else. I think the central issue is one of identity. And maybe what some of you would call self, I could also call it self, but how this self is being created, how this identity is being formed. And we all struggle with it. We struggle as children when we have fantasies about, you know, wanting to become a jet pilot when we grow up, or become a doctor or a vet. And we struggle certainly as adolescents when we have doubts about our own identity, our sexual identity, our gender identity, what we want to do in life, and so on. So we all struggle with these issues, but these issues are more somehow more dramatic for replacement children, because they are not just struggling with their own internal conflict, they have to struggle with very often with a conflict that is externalized because of the expectations and the projections of others, usually the parents, but maybe other members of the family as well, who want to attribute to us features and characteristics and so on that in fact belong to someone else who is no longer there. So it is a kind of, the conflict, it becomes very difficult to have a conflict with a ghost, with someone who is very present in the air somehow, inside us, or and inside our families, but not in ourselves.
I have a question for you, Andrea, because there were so many pieces, Patty, Johanna, Lisette, Evgeny, who were pointing to the mother, Sarah too, Barbara too, the mother. It seems as if the mother really has a major function, and that some of our preventive efforts would need to be focused at parents and especially at the mother.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to tell a psychoanalyst like myself that mothers are important.
No, I
think you can all.
But what's specific here? What do you think?
Well, I don't know what's specific here, other than
loss, a disconnect, not being seen and heard.
Maybe, and that may also link up with the question of why there are so many women and so few men here and in therapy. I mean, there may be a relation there.
Yeah. You know, Patty did a beautiful piece on not being seen and heard that's in our book. And if we do this again, I would love for her to read that, because it expresses so beautifully about feeling not heard when she was little and grabbing her mom's face to make her look at her. I mean, that really hit me when I read that.
Yes.
Not to
I
not
read
to
it too.
discount the father.
Yes,
I think,
true, true, true.
you know, the validation from the father is important.
Hedwig and Sarah and Caroline, you want to?
And Joanna also. She
My
raised-
automatic
One
hand
moment.
doesn't work.
Okay, one moment. Hedwig, Sarah, and Caroline, and then we have to come to an end.
I wanted to answer the question about the mother. For me, it's very difficult, or the relationship to my mother is, the nearer I came to her, the more I felt her sorrow and the hurting. So I couldn't come near her. I always wanted, but the nearer I came, the more I was hurt. So this is the difficulty, because if I'm near her, I can feel her loss, I can feel her sorrow, and it hurts me. So this is the ambivalence.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Sarah?
I just wanted to add about the mother too, that one thing in the research study that I did about replacement children that I found was really interesting was that, again, it was 25 people, but one thing I wrote about is that sometimes in a family, one parent might really see a child as a replacement while the other is less so. So like one parent might be enacting more of those dynamics than the other. And sometimes children, you know, are kind of quote unquote saved by the parent who isn't enacting those. And that's the good enough parent that helps them get through in many ways. But what I did find in my research consistently was that when there were those cases of somebody who had one parent who was more able to see the child as who they really were and one who saw them as a replacement, in my research, it was always the mothers who were enacting more of their replacement dynamics. And again, it was a small sample, but it's something I think we need to look into more. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Caroline, who cannot raise the hand. Go.
I think this thing about being seen by the mother and imaginatively, like it's not just by chance. I lived most of my working life in India. It's because the feminine face of the divine is, everyone's used to it. It's not weird. Whereas in the West, it's definitely weird. And it's very distorted through the sort of quasi goddess status of Mary, who's desexualized and etc. So I think that there's, within the microcosmic problem, my mom couldn't see me just because not because she didn't want to, but because she was preoccupied with the dead boy. But then there's also this cultural thing. And then also, like, for example, I didn't go to India just because of the mother thing, certainly. I also went because as a woman artist, I'm speaking a language which is not the dominant language. So that's a bigger problem, which that's the part which affects everyone.
Yeah, that's true. You have a whole exposition of your art, thankfully now. I'm so glad. Maybe the last person, Lisette?
Lisette, did you want to say something?
Yes, hi. I just wanted to say, for me, the mother, particularly with my story, is about attachment. And the lack of it, the lack of that secure attachment is what caused me to feel lonely. So whenever I felt alone, it basically brought back that pain. So I feel for me that's how, particularly being a replacement child, affects that relationship with the mother.
I think Patty has her hand up.
Yes, Patty.
Thank you.
And Joanna.
You need to unmute.
Oh.
Can you unmute Patty?
I can ask her to unmute, but I cannot unmute her.
Oh,
mute. Got it. There, I think
Good.
I am.
Okay.
No, just a quick note that I didn't realize I was muted, but I just wanted to say that I was particularly impressed today with the international community that has come together on this subject. It has transcended everything to do with, culture and geography and politics and all that is separating us these days in so many ways, and brought together so many mutual very profound and very deep emotions that make us human, such as this. And, you know, the pain that many of us, some of us have experienced through the replacement child phenomena. And I was just particularly touched by the amount of, you know, all of the different countries that are represented, and how this particular subject just went deeply into all of the above. I was particularly moved by that today. And thank you for including me in this group.
Thank you, Patty. And I see Joanna asked to speak.
Hi, yes, please. Just to draw together a couple of those things, because I am a therapist and have done research, and I have to say that Andre Green is an analyst, and his work on the dead mother has been particularly redolent for me as a replacement child, because just as Lisette has said, and others, the emotionally dead mother of a deeply grieving woman was not there to mirror me, to give me life. I was giving her life, and there's a poem by Winnicott to that effect. To vivify her was my living. And so to work with living flowers and plants is something vivifying for me. And so that really kind of links together for me.
I see one more person who wants to speak, and it's Johanna. And I want to make a comment to what you just said after. Johanna.
Last night I have a dream, and for me it was a very, very bad dream. Until today I feel it, I have stress. I was wrapped, it was a feeling like I was wrapped in my mother. And I want to leave the situation, I want to defend me. And I bite her, but it was not possible. There were only bites in an empty space. I couldn't manage it. And it was really, really stressful for me.
Yes, thank you, Johanna, for sharing. This brings me to an observation, and I know we have to bring it to an end. The Dead Mother by Andre Green. We've probably all experienced it if we are in that replacement child condition. We want to enliven the mother, and we are deadened, or we are raped by that. And yet look at us being here, sharing, seeing your creativity. So despite, for me, the miracle, Andrea, I take your word of the miracle up. For me, the miracle is that despite the dead mother, we can see her, we must express her hauntingly, we can dream about her in a bad dream, it wakes us up. Despite that, there is this life force. And that is, to me, really the extraordinary summary of your work, of your journey. And I want to thank you all for having joined, contributed. Write to us, tell us what you want, what you need. Those of you who may watch this video when we put it onto the Replacement Child Forum, write to us, tell us what you want, what you need. We might respond to a request to another webinar like that. And it just goes to say, have a wonderful time continuing in creating and listening to the creative voice. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much. It was great seeing you all.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Farewell.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.